All right, so Khari, I want to introduce all you guys to Khari Stephenson. He, besides being a really good soccer player, he's an amazing person, very kind, very aggressive on the field, but off the field you would never know because he's just kind of bashful, like he was just saying. Um, he's played for some awesome teams. Um, so he played for Kansas City, played in Norway, played for the Quakes, and played for a huge team in Sweden called A.I.K. It's a huge team that you'll see in the Champions League. They do great runs every once in a while. But a really important thing that I think you guys should know about him, besides that, everyone thinks you have to be the best. Everyone thinks you have to go to the best schools, but he actually went to a D2 school, I think it was. And
D3,
D3.
a really good school. You can actually Google it.
Yeah, and he made it all the way to the pros from there. It's kind of unheard of, which just shows how great he is. Um, but yeah, so enjoy this. He's a really cool guy. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what it was like to grow up being you, and kind of how you developed your skills and became the soccer player that you are.
All right, cool. Well, hello everyone. Hope all you guys are well and keeping safe during this whole quarantine thing. I know how annoying it is to not be around being able to hang out with your friends and play with your teammates, but it is what it is. Got to do what you got to do. So keep doing it. So I grew up in Jamaica. Grew up in Jamaica, born and raised, and the oh, it's the culture is a bit different where soccer comes along. Like we don't even call it soccer, we call it football like the rest of the world. And I started playing at 3. So everyone used to play just like here where you'd see guys playing basketball in the park and playing football and basketball. In every park you'd see kids playing soccer. So I started playing when my older brother came home one day and he was juggling a ball and I was trying to get it from him and I couldn't get it and I got so frustrated. I'm like, you know what? I want to play this game because I think it's cool. So I started playing when I was 3 and maybe I started a little bit early. I don't know. But we actually played a lot in elementary school. So we had our own school team and we'd play against other elementary schools. I know with you guys, you start at your club first and then you might be playing later on in high school and whatever, but it's really you start at a club at I don't know 7, 8, 9, whatever. So I was actually playing with my school team at like 6 or 7 or something like that. But yeah, so that's when I started playing and we'd have competitions against other schools. So we learned about that, how important it is to play as a team and play together. So started there and somehow I was always one of the younger guys on the team and I was always playing, which at the time I was just having a good time, which was awesome. And then went into high school, kept playing, started playing with the club team, ended up being on like a Jamaica under 12 team. They used to play in the Miami Classics. I don't know if they still have that nowadays, where they'd have all these teams from all around the world. It's kind of like the Dallas Cup, but they had something like that in Miami. So went there and as the Jamaica under 12 team, and we kind of beat everyone. We beat Brazil, we beat Argentina, we beat everyone. So it was fun. And then kept playing, started getting called into the youth national team. So played with the under 17 national team, the under 20 national team, went to the World Youth Cup in Argentina at the time. And then I was in college also. So went to Williams College, a small Division 3 school, as Brando mentioned, and really good academic school. It's up there with, Forbes list of best schools in the country. It's Harvard, Stanford, and Williams. So it has a great reputation educationally and, great for academics, but it's just a smaller school. So yeah, and then kind of got drafted into MLS, started drafted to Chicago, played in Kansas City. I was actually in the record books, the MLS record books of having more playoff minutes than regular season minutes. So, and that was pretty cool. My first year out of college, I started in the MLS Cup final as a rookie. So that was pretty cool. And then, played more with the Jamaica national team, went to Sweden and Norway, came back to MLS, and it was a great time. 12 years of playing around the world, enjoying the world, meeting tons of people, great experience. But as with everything, it's not always peachy. It's not always great. There will always be setbacks. There'll always be times where you feel maybe you're not good enough, or coach doesn't like me, or you're not playing and it's super frustrating. But I will always say, just keep going, keep working hard. Ask your coach. Like honestly, ask your coach, what do I need to work on? Sometimes, the best player on the team may play your position. So you're like, well, he's the best player, I'm never going to play over him. Don't worry about it. Ask the coach, like, what do I need to work on? And coaches will usually give you, they should give you a direct answer. It's like, hey, I think this is what you need to do to be better. And then just kind of keep going from there.
That's awesome. I really liked that advice. I think it's really good advice for all the boys to listen to, especially I sent to you, we have some 7v7 boys. We have 2010s and 11s, and then we have some 07s who are playing 11v11, and they got a lot out of the last talk that we had with Andres. But I think that piece of advice is huge to them. And you also mentioned never giving up. I think that's a really big, important thing that they're trying to take away with this. But let's get back a little bit to your childhood, so we can relate this a little bit more, especially to the younger guys. When you were first starting and you were playing and you were making all these great teams, were you always one of the best players, or did you have to work at it, or were you just always in the middle?
So I think I was usually one of the better players. I was usually one of the younger guys, which would mean, one of the younger guys, but always playing, and that I had some form of skill or at a certain level where they felt I was good enough to be playing all the time. But, even with that, there are always things that you can work on. Like I was quick. I wasn't the fastest guy out there, but I was pretty quick. I made a point to try to be great with both of my feet. So I'm a natural right footer, but I could use my left foot just as good. And that's always something that you should work on as well. So don't always try to be, well, I'm left footed, so I should only use my left foot. My right foot is for walking. What if you get injured and it hurts when you kick the ball with that foot? Then you'll have to use the other foot. So funny story, when I was in Sweden, got injured. I was kicking a shot and some guy stuck out his studs. So I 100% whacked into his studs. So it hurt. It actually hurt to kick with that foot. And that was my right foot. It hurt to kick. So I had to play for like 2 weeks, not using my right foot because it hurt so much. And I was playing in games. I was playing 24/7, and you'd never know that there was any issue. You just kind of wonder why I'm not kicking with my right foot. So it's always important to get your weak foot as close as you can to your strong foot. It won't always be as close, but work on it as much as you can. The more you practice, the better it will get.
Yeah, that's really good. They always ask me, why are you left-footed? I'm like, no, to this day, I'm 39 years old. I still practice with my left foot because when I was 12 years old, my dad's like, do you want to be a 100% better soccer player? And I said, yes. And he got me all excited. And he's like, use your left foot. And I was like, all right, it makes sense. You'll be 100% better. In those times when you were younger, how did you separate yourself from everyone else? That's a key phrase we use at our club, is separate.
Yeah.
Like at this point now, like everyone's indoors. We're trying to make it a point for our kids to separate themselves, not only from other clubs, but from themselves. Some of them are playing Minecraft a little longer than others. How did you do that as a kid?
So I always had a ball at home somewhere, which I'm sure you guys do. And any opportunity I had to get out and play with the ball, I would. I'd always try to, do these rainbow skills and everything, and I'd constantly keep juggling. Like, I'm not sure how good you guys are at juggling, but that is a skill that you should really work on. The best players in the world who are great with their feet, they're good juggling. And juggling gets your foot to understand the weight of the ball, how to feel, how to work, how to move, and you'll end up getting much better touch. So I used to juggle a lot at home. I used to practice a lot in my off time, even by myself, kicking against the wall, getting some cones and doing some little drills on my own. Because that's something that not everyone is doing. And obviously it's difficult. No, you don't have the motivation to go outside. You rather stay inside and play video games. So, and even for me, when I growing up playing, all my buddies would be inside playing video games and doing this and that, and I had to go play soccer, which I didn't mind, and it actually made me a better player in the long run. So putting in that extra work, trying to do that extra bit every time chance that you can. So you have a ball at home, work on juggling, work on dribbling. You know, the ball is your best friend. Do not lose it. So just keep working on it as much as you can, doing as many drills as you can. I know Brando has given you a little workout to do during this time, but keep doing extra. Keep working on it. You know, some of these drills, try to do it a little bit faster. Try to time yourself, and just kind of keep it going that way. Is that helpful? You
Yeah,
cannot.
yeah. I like you said that you were always playing with the ball. You're always training and outside, which is a lot more than a lot of other people do. But now that when you're in training, how important did you, or how serious did you take it? Was it just like, okay, go through it, or was it like do or die every time, or was it just kind of, going through the motions?
It's do it as best as you can. Give it 100 every single time because it will only make you get better. Going through the motions never helps. So, for example, even as a full-on professional in a team playing in Champions League, still doing normal passing drills, which you guys will think like, well, it's just passing. Everyone can pass. Why are we doing these things all the time? It's the best players in the world can do the simple things great. So once you master the simple things, such as simple control and passing, you will be a much better player. So it's the best players in the world can do all the simple things great. It's the simple things that are really difficult to master, but constantly work on it, and that's where you get better.
I get it. That's good. Um, so, what do you see now that you've been in the States for a long time, and especially living in this area? What do you see is the difference between Jamaica and the United States?
On what level?
Uh, Overall, like youth soccer, how you grew up, those kind of things.
So we start playing younger. We're actually playing 11 against 11 at a much younger age. I think you guys don't do that now until 13,
Yeah,
maybe
it's at 11.
at 11.
Yeah,
Yeah, we start doing that from a much younger age, and I think you guys can't use your head the ball until same age or
yeah.
later. Yeah, so I personally, and don't tell people that I'm saying this, that I think it does affect some parts of your development as a younger player. Because when you're younger, the more space you have is the more time you think you have on the ball. So it allows you to play a lot slower than you should. The older you get, you're playing with more people, and yes, the field does get bigger, but learning to play at a young age with less space means that you need to make decisions a lot quicker. Not to say that you always need to play fast. There's a time and a place for everything, but being playing under pressure allows you to think faster and make decisions quicker. So that's one of the huge things. And another thing is that most of the fields in Jamaica aren't plush with grass and very flat. So if someone's passing the ball to you, it might be bobbling and bouncing all over the way. So Jamaicans tend to have much better touch at a younger age because you're practicing, anticipating the ball moving somewhere. You have no idea where it's going to go, but you have to react quickly. So instead of seeing the ball coming and watching it, you're actually looking at everything that's going on while knowing that the ball may make some kind of erratic bounce at any point in time. So you learn to anticipate at a much younger age, if that makes sense.
No, that's actually really good because where we train, there's one part of the field that's in terrible shape, and I always choose that area. And
There
these
you go.
guys would always complain, and I told them, if you can control the ball under this, anywhere we play it'll be easy for you. But if we play in a field like this, you'll be used to it. So they, especially the older guys, used to complain a lot, but that's exactly why I did it. So I'm glad you're giving out some gems today, man. This is good.
Yeah, and he didn't prep me on that one before, just so you know. Yeah,
How
so
old?
I would recommend, playing on that, not every day, but just there will be days where it will be very valuable to do. So then once you're actually playing on a field where you don't have to watch the ball bouncing all over the place, you can actually pick up your head and check your shoulders to see what else is going on, you know?
How old were you when you started getting or thinking about your diet and what you were eating? And then how is it now or when you were playing?
Um, so quite honestly, um, I don't know, probably not until high school, because when you're younger, you're just kind of running around all the time. Your parents give you whatever to eat. It's like whatever. But once you're a little bit older, early high school, where you can actually have a choice in what you're eating, you know, not saying never eat pizza, but just don't eat it all the time. So always eat foods that will be great for recovery, that are not high in oil, that's not great for your system, and that actually takes longer to burn. So it will slow you down. So a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, you know, good food. So with me, it's what I noticed, and you guys will find this funny. So when I came to play with the earthquakes, I was living in a hotel. I was living in a hotel for 4 months. So I was eating out all the time. And I just kind of realized one day that I felt slow and sluggish. And I went on the scale and I was like, wow, I kind of put on 10 pounds. How did this happen? And it turns out I wasn't really watching my diet. So I felt slow. I was tired all the time. My fitness level was affected. So as soon as I made that change, lost the weight in no time. I was feeling quicker. I was feeling more fit. I could run for much longer. So diet is always important. It will help your fitness, which will help your thinking. Because when you get tired, you start making wrong decisions. The more fit you are, it's the better decisions you make over a longer period of time. And you'll always have that extra energy to make that final push in the last minute of the game to either score a goal or help to save a goal. You know?
So one thing that we've been doing with our kids is I can't remember his name. Is there is this talk that one of our directors have heard, and it's called the game face, and they talk about being a top player, being consistent, and one of the things that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? One of the kind of activities that we do is we pick the kids think about how they want to be their best soccer player, and they think of an action word that they want to represent them, a player that they want to represent what they want to show on the field, and an animal and the same kind of thing. So for me, I told them, like, when I was younger, I was always wanted to have a little bit of flair and be really fast, but the word that was more important to me was confidence, because I could have those two things, but if I wasn't confident, I wasn't playing well. But if I was confident, I was bringing those two things. So for me, it was confident Roberto Carlos, because that was like the guy I wanted to be, and Cheetah, because I wanted to be super fast. So what would if you thought about you and how you wanted to play, how would and when you were older, was it different than when you were younger?
So my favorite player of all time, and I don't know if you guys will know him, Zidane. He's a coach at Real Madrid. He was top player. Not the fastest, but had great feet, great technique, made great decisions. And one of the knocks for him was that he was never that fit. So if you kind of read in his history, they'll say, yeah, we knew he was never that fit. So he could only play 70 minutes. And the older he got was the more he kind of worked on his fitness so he could play more minutes. So I loved him because of his style of play. He was always cool and composed, never got flustered. So, what animal? Someone help me out here. I don't want to say like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's like what animal, what characteristics do you like to play, and then what animal kind of represents that? So if you want to be like strong, you can say like bear, or if you wanted to be able to like we've had some people say gazelles, cheetahs. Actually, the funny one, Andres Imperiali said monkey, because he wants to be smart, and monkeys are very smart. Which I was like, that I would have never guessed.
Good point. Good point. I don't know. I don't know. Something in me saying like tiger, and I really don't know why I want to say tiger, but I want to say tiger.
What about like an action word? Like for me, it was there's also strong.
Yeah, confidence, definitely confidence. Yeah, confidence. Tigers are always confident. But lions are the kings of the jungle, so they're always
So
confident.
your game face is confident Zizou tiger. I like that.
There you go.
Do you think it's
Confident
always
is
been that
better.
way, or would it have been different like when you were younger?
I think it was always like that. I think deep down, that's always the type of player I wanted to be, or having good touch. I was quick as a kid, so I had good speed, but I wasn't one of those who was kicking and running. So I had good enough feet to be able to dribble by people, but I always had a good shot too. So I was one of those who could shoot from distance with both feet. So, that's something that I've always tried to do, even as a youngster growing up.
That's
And
okay. Sorry.
yeah, no, and then the like real, like a lot, what really changed as I grew older was confidence. My fitness and confidence. I was actually fitter at 28 than I was at 15. So fitness is definitely a huge thing, and a part of that too is in Jamaica, no one liked doing fitness. Most of our fitness would be playing games. It wasn't, let's go run 2 miles or 5 miles or whatever. So most of our fitness revolved around playing, not around running in circles. So there are benefits for both. So when the coach says put the ball down, we're not doing work with the ball, do it. I was always the one who wanted to do the work with the ball. So there is value in doing it both ways. By running a lot without the ball, I know that's a lot of the American culture. So do it because it will help you going forward.
So you brought up a couple times. I wanted to bring this up too. It's like you said numerous times you weren't the fastest player, and when you played in a certain way. Which when you said Zizou was your favorite player, and you as a player made total sense to me, because one thing I noticed about you is you never really used speed. You were always controlling, and you were a very intelligent player. And you even mentioned before when if you're playing on a bobbly pitch, when you have time now, you look over your shoulders, and that's something you always did. And the other thing I noticed was you have that hard kick. So when did you notice? When did you pick up on these things of yourself, and when did you start really? Did you spend more time on those things or other areas where you needed more help?
So first of all, I was a lot faster than people thought I was. I actually did a lot of track and field back in the day, so I could run. I have um, records, track and field records for the 100 and 200. It just used too much energy for me to run at my maximum speed, so I just never did it. But it's just at a younger age, I was just always kicking from distance, and my shots are powerful. So I don't know if it was just something that one day I realized that I could kick it that hard. I actually didn't. People just kind of told me that I should keep shooting because I can kick it really hard. And then with my touch, it's just something that I always worked on growing up. And intelligence, like obviously, not everyone can be a very intelligent player. There's some people who will just run and kick people down because that's just kind of how they are and that's their style. And if you have too many of the same, then there's a lot that would be missing from the team, which is the reason why every team has a mix of players, some really quick, some with great touch, some who are great passers, some who are very aggressive. Every team needs that mix of all those players, and I know I'm kind of going off topic, but
Uh,
yeah. So to answer your question in a short way, I didn't really know that I had a great touch and I was intelligent and I had a great shot until later on when people are like, hey, did you know? I'm like, no, I didn't actually, but that's cool.
um, one one thing that Andres brought up a lot in his talk on how to become a better player is he said teamwork and being a good teammate is super important.
Mm-hmm.
What like weight do you have on that, or what do you have to say about being a good teammate?
No, I do agree with that statement. So, as a team, you're a family, right? And you never want to see your family not do well. So, be the best that you can be to help the team. When the team wins, you win. So, there are times where you're put in a position where it's not your favorite position. You're not happy that you have to play that position, but you need to do it to help the team. And by helping the team, you can help the team win. So, try to I'm not gonna say be friends with everyone because not everyone is gonna get along. and this is just life. So, try to be a great team player. Try to do the best that you can to help the team win, because it's not about you, it's about the team, right?
What else would you tell them to be a good youth player to develop into however far they want to go? If you had like a weekend with them, what would you focus on, and what would you tell them they need to like really like hammer in?
So I'll always speak to nutrition. I'd always speak to getting good enough sleep. If your body's not rested, you cannot perform at your optimal level. Um, Work on the things that you think you need to work on, but also ask your teammates, what do they think you need to be better on? So a lot of things that I would do if I were coaching, I'd work on decision making. I'd work on positioning. Brando mentioned, checking your shoulders. When you're in the right position, it's easier to turn, it's easier to maneuver, and you can actually try to see where everything is. So you spend less time doing things that slow the game down. So a lot of what I would do is, work on your touch, work on your decision making, because that does make a world of difference.
What do you think from when you were a child to when you became a pro? What do you think the difference was between like a good player and like a really good player?
And obviously there is a fine line. So the older you get is the faster the game will be, which means you need to make decisions a lot quicker. So players who were making quicker decisions, players who had better touch, because sometimes it's a game of inches. If your first touch goes an inch too far, someone can take it from you, right? So it's, the speed of the game. Um, I don't know. It's, yeah, just kind of strength has a part to do with it. Try to be stronger, try to have a strong core. And that's also where nutrition comes in, because you eat the wrong foods, you'll kind of get fat, which won't help you in the long run. But yeah, a lot of it, decision making and the speed of play. So making good decisions, being in a good position, and being able to keep up with the speed and the tempo.
So we'll talk a little bit about your pro career. I mean, the highlight has to be being an international, or do you think that's a highlight of your career? Is it, there's a lot of club versus country kind of thing. How do you feel?
So for me, my highlight was being in FIFA, because as a kid, I played FIFA all the time. So I just wanted to be in FIFA, and then everything kind of followed. And coming from Jamaica, there's this pride of being able to play for your country, this national pride. So dreams of mine as a kid were, one, to be in FIFA, two, to play for a national team, and I always wanted to play in Champions League. Played in UEFA Cup, which was kind of close. But I don't know. I think there's always this national pride in playing for your country, and not everyone will get that opportunity. Everyone can play for a club team, but can everyone play for their country? Right. So for me, it was definitely country over club, but you know, definitely enjoyed my time with my club teams.
One thing that I want you to tell the boys a little bit about is your time at A.I.K. When Andres was with us, I forgot that he was part of a huge derby with Rosario Central and Newell's, and he even sent us some videos. And the kids saw it, and they were just like amazed by those Argentinian fans. How was it like playing for such a huge club, especially at like one of your derby games for A.I.K.?
Yeah, so I actually had no idea how big the team was, the club was, their history was, until I got there. And I saw somewhere that one of the Stockholm derbies, either A.I.K. and Your Garden, was one of the top 10 derbies in the world. So with those games, we had to go with the entire team on the bus. We couldn't drive to the stadium. The streets were crazy. There was all this tifo all over the place. And if you guys sit there and you Google AIK tifo, TIFO, then you'll see some of these crazy videos. Or AIK Derby, DERBY, you see some of these crazy videos. So it was kind of scary at first, but then you kind of figured it out and realized that they're there for you, so you're good. So it was amazing, actually. Just seeing all these people going crazy, chanting, and it's one of those where I can't justify, my explanation will never justify it. But you think the Galaxy Earthquake Star be something like multiply that by 100. So
Um, Another question we had from before was, when you're in a stadium, no matter what team you're playing for, do you hear the crowd, and does it make a difference to you or not?
for me, it does, and I actually like playing against a bigger crowd. So I'll get very nervous if I'm in a room with 10 people, but put me on a field with 100,000 people, and it's a different story. It's like, it's my game. Give me the ball. Let me go around the show. So I love playing in a bigger crowd, and I think I fed off the energy. And people always talk trash, so I always thought it was funny, the kind of trash that people try to talk. But yeah, I enjoyed playing in front of a big crowd, and it could be intimidating for a lot of people, but for me, it drove me because I'm like, great, here's more people I can impress. Here we go.
When you have people saying negative things at you, or you deal with like a negative moment in your career with an injury or whatever it is, how do you overcome those things?
So I always try to put things in perspective. How big a deal is this really? And people get sad, people get depressed. It's a part of life. It happens. So for me, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Well, I'm injured. How serious is it? So I broke my arm. This one, I don't know if you can see the scar. When I was in Sweden, first year, had a great year. Second year, went to A.I.K. I was the second highest transfer ever between Swedish teams. I was having best preseason ever. A week before the season starts, I broke my arm. And I missed, I think, the first 2 months of the season. And that was one of those where it's like, man, I was on a high, everything was going great. What if I'm never the same player when I get back? What if, and you will start doubting yourself. But it's try to think about what are the positives. Try to take the positives out of every negative situation. And then when people are talking trash, most of it's they know that it's getting to you. So think of it that way, as someone is trying to say something to get you upset, but they're trying to get you upset. So it's like, okay, he's just saying it to try to get me upset. Like, whatever, who cares? So anytime someone tries to trash talk, think about it like that. So they're trying to get you off. Why do you want them to get you off? No, just kind of show them how good you are, and you'll be fine. You know.
That kind of ties into a question that Nico had last week that I thought was really, really awesome. And it was, how do you differentiate the line from being a tough player and aggressive player to a dirty player?
That's a great question. So like, try to be clean, but stern at the same time. So like, dirty players will get red cards all the time, so you won't play as much. But so it's try to be aggressive, try to be clean. Try to go into all those 50-50 tackles and try to be smart. If you're late, you're late, but try not to be. And I can't give a great answer to this question. I'm sorry.
You're too much of a clean player. That's why.
Mhm.
What was your best moment as a professional footballer?
Wow. So I can't say there's one, really. There's definitely playing for my national team in the national stadium back home. For me, as a kid growing up, that's one thing that I always wanted to do. So that was awesome. Um, my first year playing pro, starting in the MLS Cup final, was definitely one of them. Anytime you score a game-winning goal, that's always a great one. So I'm also in the history books in Norway. So we won the Norwegian Cup, and I kicked the first ever penalty kick in a Norwegian Cup final in a penalty shootout. So like, scoring that one, and it was the first time that club had ever won the Norwegian Cup. So that was a special feeling for me too.
What is it that someone were to ask you, like, what do you like about soccer? Like, just plain out simple. What are the like kind of simple answer of why you enjoy this game?
So I had fun. I had fun. It really comes down to I had fun. I tell people there is nothing in the world that I would do having as much fun that would bring me as much excitement as playing it.
I like it. This is a great question, especially because of what you asked. You said, "Who is your favorite player besides yourself?"
Well, I did say Zidane.
Yeah. Well, current. Let's go with currently.
Let's go current. Current, I would say, let's say Neymar.
What is it about Neymar that you really like?
So Neymar, and I know people give him a lot of things, but he's not that big, and he does get hit all the time, and he gets up more often than not. So he has this drive where he just keeps going. He gets knocked down and he just keeps going. He has great touch. He has really good skill. He's a good finisher, and he's a very good team player. If you watch him play, he's a very good team player.
So
And I always like Messi too. Messi's a great team player, but he's not the same as he was 10 years ago.
Have you ever gotten a yellow card or a red card in a game?
Yes, I have. Why do you ask?
That was one of the questions on the kids' asked.
Yeah, so one of the knocks against me growing up was that I wasn't aggressive enough. And some of it is just my personality. I'm just not that aggressive of a person. So I had one of my coaches say, "Khari, think I have the tiger. I have the tiger. You need to like turn it on and like don't kick people." So every now and again when they're like, "You're not aggressive enough," I kind of go kick someone and get a yellow card. But I didn't intend to do it. It just kind of happened. And I think I've gotten maybe 2 red cards in my career. And the first one kind of hurt because no one ever feels like they deserve it, but I really didn't think I deserved it. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Well, it's interesting that you said when we were doing our game face, you said that your animal would be the tiger, and you said, "I don't know why, but it's coming out." You just said "I have the tiger, I have the tiger." So maybe it stuck with you a lot more than you thought.
Maybe it did. Maybe it really did.
Besides the broken arm, have there been any other big injuries that you had to deal with in your career?
Strained MCLs kept me out for a couple weeks here and there. I had to do surgery on my toe, which you never know anything was wrong, and that kind of took me a while to get back from. So, the usual things, little knee twists and turns. But the big one was my broken arm because I was out for 2 months.
Did you feel the same kind of depression you felt the first time and then just overcome it, or was it different?
So after you've been through it that first time, you understand, how it will be. Oh, I actually had an ankle injury that kept me out for 2 months too. So it was frustrating. But it is what it is. It's kind of, do what you can do to keep in as good a shape as you can. Because when you're back, you'll get back on the field a lot quicker. It's not like, well, now he's back from injury, now he needs to get back in shape. So that's where diet is important, coming off an injury, and trying to work on the other things that you can work on by not aggravating your injury. And when you are injured, rest, because if you don't rest, it's going to take a lot longer to heal, which will keep you out for a lot longer. So if you need to take a week off because then you'll be great, awesome. Don't keep playing on something where you're going to be playing at 50% and then possibly be out for 2 months.
I'm sure when you come back, you're thinking about scoring a goal when you get back on the field. What does it feel like to score a goal at the professional level?
Wow. I don't know. Obviously the bigger the crowd, the better it sounds and feels. But I don't know, it's just one of those where you just can't describe the feeling. It's just a great feeling where you think you're happy, like multiply that by 100. And it's like the happiest you're ever going to be the first time you score that goal. You know, it's thinking of when you're playing a video game and you score and you're like, haha, I scored on you, and you're like, I'm better than everyone. So like multiply that by a lot more. And yeah, it's hard to kind of describe that feeling.
I asked Andres the same thing. How does it feel like to be on the receiving end of a Chris Wondolowski goal celebration?
Did he score against me on any of my teams?
No, I mean when he scores and he comes after you when he's celebrating and
Oh,
jumping on you and
yeah, Wanda is a funny character, but yeah, he blacks out when he scores and he does these things, so he doesn't remember the things he does half the time. But it's pretty funny and it's cool, and sometimes you kind of have to run away from him. Wanda is one of the best teammates I've ever had. He's a cool dude.
We kind of talked about teammates earlier. What do you think makes a good teammate?
Being there for your fellow teammates. You know, being able to pick up the slack when someone isn't doing well, and also being able to motivate your teammates. And a good part of that too is understanding that everyone isn't the same, and there are different things that will motivate different teammates. Some people you need to scream at. Some of them you need to just kind of softly tell them something. Some people need a pat on the back. So understanding your teammates and what motivates them. How can you help to get the best out of them?
What's your favorite formation and where do you fit in the formation?
Oh, my favorite formation would be a 4-4-1-1, where I would be that one in front of the midfield and behind the forward, where I'm just roaming. So you could always pop up in some of these random spots. So some people might call it a number 9 or 10, a number 10. I just kind of call it a roaming midfielder, where I can just kind of, and I wouldn't have any defensive I wouldn't have to do anything on the any defensive obligations. So it's like, great. I'll just pop up, get the ball, and go make something happen. You guys do all the defending. Great.
I love it. Kind of like how Tota used to play, just kind of in the spot, taking your shots from far away.
Yep.
What do you remember a game where you actually got to play that was like your favorite game, or do you think were you in a different position?
So funny story. So when I was in Norway, the coach that brought me there, they fired him a month after I got there. Mm-hmm. And we're in the relegation zone, and we had to play in this playoff game, and we ended up winning and staying in the league and whatnot. So the following year, when the season started, the coach wouldn't play me. And he would say, Khari, he's very talented, he has great technique, but he's lazy. I'm like, what? How am I lazy? So he was forced to play me because 2 guys got injured, and they would kind of play that. Actually, they'd play that formation. It's like a 4-4-1-1 or like a 4-4 whatever. So they would only play that formation when I was playing. And then I was man of the match, so it was awesome. So I ended up showing the coach that, look, I'm not lazy. One, they track how much we run, and you can see that I run more than most of the people on the field. I was actually top 3 on our team. So stats don't lie. So, but yeah, I'd play in that position, and then the team was great. Every time we played that formation, we won. But it was strange that we didn't play that formation more.
I like it. So yeah. I'm gonna, unless there's anything else you want to like just kind of say about yourself or anything else, I'm gonna open it up to questions to the kids. So is there anything you want to say kind of right now? Oh, for the kids, raise your hand and then I'll call on you. Ari's gonna send me a list. I'll call on you and then unmute yourself, ask your question, and mute yourself again. All right? Sorry, go ahead.
Go.
All right, let's start with Adam.
So, were you ever in the World Cup?
I played in the Youth World Cup, which is the same everything as the World Cup. You're just 20 and under.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with Horacio.
Hi, Horacio.
Hey, how you
Nice to
doing?
meet you. Good, thank you. Have you ever played with Raheem Sterling? Because I know he grew up in Jamaica.
Yeah, Raheem is a lot younger than I am.
Yeah.
So he left Jamaica when he was 7. Yeah, when he was 7 or 9. But he's in Jamaica all the time. So I see him down there when I'll go home sometimes.
Oh, okay.
And like Leon Bailey, do you know who Leon Bailey is?
I've heard
So
of him.
he plays for Bayern Leverkusen. So go
Oh,
Google
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Is
so
it funny?
I know him. I have a picture somewhere with me playing with him. But yeah, so check him out. He's one of the new up and coming young players.
Yeah. Is he
Oh,
a or
like,
forward?
go ahead,
He's a
Russell.
winger.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a winger. But it's one of those where they'll call some wingers forwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's more like a winger.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
We're gonna go to Beckett.
What do you feel like when you either get substituted on or off?
What does it feel like when I get substituted on or off? It depends. Sometimes you're tired and you need to be substituted, so those times are great. But when you feel you're doing well and you get pulled off, it's never the best of feelings. So, but sometimes it's just for the team. The coach may think that you're a little bit tired. They can bring someone else in who can give more than you're giving at that point in time. So never look at it negatively. Just look at it as, you went it, you did your job and now someone else is gonna come in. And then when you come in, it's always as a fresh player, it's always try to see how you can improve on the game, how you can do better than the person you came in for. How can you help to impact the game in a positive way? So when you're watching a game, always watch to see the person in your position, what are they doing, what they could be better at. So when you get in, you can kind of, do what you feel should be better for that role. Does that help?
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. You're welcome.
All right, let's go to Nico. Nico's always got really good questions.
This is not a question.
Okay, go.
It's just that you're super, 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 super good at soccer.
Why, thank you.
All right, let's go to Alex.
Did you verse any famous soccer players like Messi or Ronaldo?
I never played against Messi or Ronaldo. However, I did play against England at Old Trafford with, at the time, David Beckham, Frank Lampard, John Terry, and all those guys. And played against Manchester United when they played against the Earthquakes here. So a lot of world known players.
All right, let's go to Horacio. Do you have another question?
Oh, yeah. I was just wondering if Alexis Sanchez was at Man U when you played him. Was that the game, like that year?
Uh,
I think he was. I think that was the year he joined.
he could
Yeah,
have.
2018.
He could have, but he may have been injured. No, yeah, that was the year he joined.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the year he joined.
Yeah, I was at that game. I just didn't see you.
Yeah, not the game at Levi's. The one at
Oh,
the
it was
Vile.
mine. Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I was at the one the year before the Vile.
Okay.
And my old teammate from Norway actually played at Manchester United. So Anders Lindegaard, it's cool dude.
Oh, yeah, Lindegaard. Yeah.
All right, Arya.
So it's really nice to meet you, and this is something that I struggle with a lot. But is there a way that you can like focus, because I can't really focus well in games, and I wanted to see if you have a way to focus.
So when you're not focusing, what are you focusing on?
Other things in life, because sometimes I just lose focus about the game, and then the players catch me off guard.
Yeah, so that's something that it's you kind of have to try to put more effort into focusing on your own, and seeing the impact of how you not focusing is affecting the team. So for instance, say you're not focusing and someone takes the ball from you and they go score, I don't think anyone's going to be happy. right?
Yeah.
So if you can, it's whatever you think might motivate you, and I know it's different for everyone. So, because you're not focusing on playing, but you're focusing on something else, so you know how to focus. You get it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you'll figure it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go to Ben.
Wait. Oh yeah. What is the game that you led by the most? Like 10-0 or?
Oh wow. Way back when, we had games where we'd win like 16-0 and things like that.
Yeah, for the 10, our biggest game was 10-0.
Wow. And I hope the coach took everyone out and had the people who didn't play as much play.
Yeah, that, yeah. It was a team that just wasn't ready for us, and I put all the defenders up front and all the attackers in the back, and the defenders started scoring. So it was tough, and I had to tell them to stop scoring without being a poor sport and letting the other team hear. It was
Yeah.
interesting.
For the 10s, it was 12-2, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So Ollie, did you have a question, or were you stretching?
I didn't have a question.
You did, or you didn't?
Didn't.
Okay.
I have one.
Okay. Go ahead.
If you juggled, what was your record?
So I kind of got bored when I kept going, but I think I definitely got to over 100. So one thing to practice on with your weak foot is to see how much you can juggle with your weak foot.
That's
okay.
And
all right.
then maybe today you can do 2, and maybe tomorrow you'll do 4, and maybe next week you can do 10. So the more you practice, the better it will get.
All right, Eli, you're up.
What's your favorite food or drink?
My favorite food or drink. My favorite food is some Jamaican chicken. It's great. And my favorite drink, there's actually one of these coconut waters that I really like. And I know a lot of people don't like coconut water because the ones that they get, it isn't the real fresh coconut water, and they add some preservatives to it, so it doesn't taste as good as it's supposed to taste. But I know some of you guys might like Gatorade or Powerade or whatever. But having coconut water straight from a coconut tastes a lot better than a lot of these things out there. But you'd have to taste it to be able to understand what it tastes like.
Ty, did you have a question? No. Does anyone else have any more questions? Raise your hand. Luke, anything? All right, I'm going to throw it to Braden.
Oh, wait, I know one. Can I say one?
All right, go ahead, Emiliana.
Have you ever scored a hat trick?
Yes, I have. That's also a good feeling.
Do you remember that game of how you scored each goal?
I cannot remember, to be honest. I had games I scored 4 goals. But yeah, it's been a while. But I did do it.
All right, Brandon.
Did school ever get in the way of playing soccer for you?
Yes and no. So my parents were always academics first. So if there were ever a situation where sports would interfere with schoolwork, it was always schoolwork. So yeah, so it was always schoolwork. I always made sure to get my schoolwork done. And even things like that, if you know you have a project or something coming up that if you don't get it done, you cannot go play, you know how it feels when you're not playing and you have to stay home and do your work. So try to get on your work as soon as you can so you can have more time to play.
Okay.
That helps. Because I know people like doing things at the last minute. Start it so you can finish it earlier.
I'm glad that Braden asked something because he actually was the one player I wanted you to talk to. because
Ah.
before the beginning of the season, we had the kids write down all of their goals and what they want to accomplish in soccer. And Brandon, right off the bat, I thought of you too. He said he wants to play in college and he wants to play for a D1 team. And I don't know, for some reason I thought of you because, you went to D3 school and you still made it. And is there any advice you would give to someone like him where his goal, like a lot of other kids said, I want to be a pro, I want to do this, but he was like, I want to go to a D1 school. Is there any advice you can give to him in particular to how to get there or what he should work on or whatever?
Yeah, I think, a good place to start is with your coach. What do I need to work on? How can I become a better player? And as things progress, you can, if there are schools that you'd like to go to, start reaching out to the coach, sending an email or something, just so he can know that you're on his radar. And then maybe he'll come see you play someday, and maybe he'll like you and think that you're a great fit for his team. So definitely your first place to start is with your coach to see what you need to work on and, even what he can do with you if he does have the time one-on-one to help you become a better player to get you to that level.
Also kind of piggybacking on that. So we have a tiered academy. And so the one team is like the top kids because the cream kind of rises to the top. And all of these boys and all of these teams are on the lower end. So they have the most improvement. What advice would you give them to try to move? Because some of these boys have real aspirations to make that top team or even move one or two teams up.
Yeah, it's keep working, keep putting in the work, keep practicing, keep doing extra after training. Go do a couple more runs, take a couple more shots, keep putting in that extra. Because funny thing, well, I guess it's not funny, but when I played on that Jamaica under 17 team, I played against the US under 17 team a couple of times. And I don't think that there are 10 players from that team who ended up becoming pro. So because these guys are better than you at 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, doesn't mean that they'll be better than you in 3 years. So keep working at it, and you can be better than they are. It's not always the guys who are best at 11 that will be best at 15 or 20 or 25. So.
Awesome. So I think that's
hold
good.
on. So I don't know if you guys have been watching that Michael Jordan story. I know you guys weren't around when Michael Jordan was playing, but in a part of it, it speaks to he didn't make his high school basketball team. So who would think that someone who didn't make their high school basketball team would be as good of a player as he was? But he always spoke to keep working. No one will outwork him. So he always trained out extra. He always put in the extra work. So you want to be better, keep training, keep putting in the extra work.
That's a great place to leave it on. So I just want to say a big thank you. But before we leave, when we leave, every kid in our academy, when we leave a training session, we do the same thing across the whole board. And everyone gets up, we have our hands up, we say ready. One person says ready, 1, 2, and then everyone else just claps twice. So I'm going to have Brandon lead us off. He's going to be super loud, and everyone's going to get ready. So you can join us. Yeah, so you just have your hands up, ready to go, and then Brandon's going to be loud, and then we're all going to clap along with him. But let me unmute everyone so you can hear everything with your jazz hands. All right.
Ready? 1, 2.
Awesome. Everyone say thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys take care. I'll definitely try to pop by a training session one of these days when people get back outside.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely hold you to that because these kids definitely want to see you.
Yes, and you heard me say it, so I'll be there.
All right. I'll see you later. Thank you.
All right, later, guys.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome.